So Demon Slayer, the Swordsmith Village arc, is getting rather interesting. Not only do we get introduced to a mechanical doll that is apparently 300 years old, the technology is so ahead of its time that seemingly no one can repair it. After Tanjiro busts out some new moves and destroys the thing, a 300-year-old ancient sword comes poking out of its body, which, I mean, is that going to be our boy's new sword? Are they going to clean it up, repair it, and it's going to be a nice sword that maybe actually doesn't break? I mean, for Tanjiro, he definitely has been struggling with keeping a sword that is actually durable, so maybe something that survived 300 years. As seen by this mechanical doll, can do the trick. But either way, they drop some interesting information. Now, the whole mystery of that dream sequence from the previous episode where it kind of looked like Tanjiro, but the dream was putting Tanjiro in his place to make it feel like he was there when I don't know. But nonetheless, they kind of confirmed that, at least from this kid's perspective, that memories can be passed down from person to person in a family ancestry line. So now knowing the fact that basically when we look at this mechanical doll, it pretty much looks like the demon upper rank 1, who, is that actually him, or was that maybe a relative of his? Either way, I mean, it's said to be based on him, which is why it has 6 arms, and honestly, besides a demon, what else does have 6 arms? I don't know, but this was actually a pretty fantastic episode for being a training episode. It was silly, it was goofy, but honestly, leave it to Demon Slayer to keep me engaged, even when it's basically just someone talking mad shit to Tanjiro and Tanjiro getting real upset. Full live reaction available on my Patreon if you're interested in seeing my full uncut thoughts to this wonderful episode. So we get introduced to a HASHIRA who pretty much, this is the type of personality I love. It can be boring if you're just following a character who seemingly has no emotions, and honestly, you just are like, why is everyone following them? It can get boring, it can, but typically, I really enjoy shows where you have a character who's just feels so out of place compared to the rest, and whether it's a show like Mashal from this anime season, having a character like Mash just not give a hell about anything going on and all the characters getting mad around him or just confused, I find that funny. And I equally find it funny in a show like Demon Slayer when, if you look at Tanjiro objectively, one of the most personality-filled characters you're going to see. He, sometimes it might rub people the wrong way how much he wants to do the righteous thing, but at the end of the day, you can tell what type of a person he is because he beats you over the head with his kindness and compassion. And to have a character like Takito who just, honestly, no shits given, just completely apparently younger than Tanjiro, but damn the skill gap like 100 times better by the looks of it. The fact that he's just so good, the crow that travels around, the sassiest of crows, the most arrogant of crows, will chomp your face off, but man, the skills kind of speak for itself. And I find it interesting that basically he's shaking down this kid who's like refusing to give a key. We learn that the key is basically the key to use the mechanical doll. It's basically like a wind-up crank, right? You put it in, you wind it up, and it's a mechanical doll that will fight you. And apparently the technology, even this kid's father wasn't able to repair. So it being destroyed and this kid saying, well, I don't know how to do this. I'm not talented enough to do it. It's understandable why you don't want to give it up to this HASHIRA, even though the HASHIRAs kind of do rule with an iron fist in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, they make the swords for the HASHIRA, but the HASHIRA are the ones who kind of keep the peace, so do you really want to go against your protectors? It's understandable why the kid's a little shaken in his boots, and Tanjiro tries to stop it, but we see it doesn't work out. And I like the fact that over the course of this episode, which it is a training episode, Tanjiro learns some new moves, and once again, the show does such a remarkable job at power systems and breaking it down for the viewer. Early into the show, Tanjiro kind of like seeing the lines and connecting his sword with the lines in order to deliver the final blow is a really cool visualization detail to understand what a trained fighter like them could see in order for an anime experience, right? And in this episode, Tanjiro, after basically going to the afterlife, or he was about to as he crossed the bridge, poor guy was getting starved and dehydrated from this kid because he just refused to let him have any reward unless he got a hit in. He explains it as like he smelt something. Like it was like this rock at the bottom of the pond and it was different. And I love how rather than having it be like this visualization detail like the lines that he connects for his final attacks, instead it shows it as something that he can smell that's different, which allows him to start seeing all these attacks. You're fighting something that has, I think at that point, had 5 arms because one of the arms got taken with our boy after he was done training with it. Kind of savage, all things considered, but leave it to a badass like Tokyo to just do whatever he wants. I love the fact that because Tanjiro was struggling with, he was doing everything that he's experienced. He knows how to fight a certain way, and he's reacting as if other opponents are attacking him. But he had to learn how to predict and see things coming. And for an opponent with that many arms, I mean, yeah, had he been fighting with swords to begin with, Tanjiro would have died a few different times. They gave him wooden planks to begin with because it's just that insane. And the kid just saying, it's okay if you break it. If there's one person I'm okay breaking this, it's you, because I will fix this and you're going to get stronger. And I thought it was such a great moment because not only does it make training different than what we've seen in prior episodes, they also propel Tanjiro's own skill level to be more impressive than he was. I don't know if it's just because we don't see his arms as often, but he kind of looked a little beefier as the episode went on, as he was going up against this mechanical doll. The mystery of who the mechanical doll's based off of, was it upper rank 1 when it was human? I don't know, and the whole concept of ancestor memories being passed down and a sword from 300 years ago, everything's lining up to be really, really solid. I quite love the opening and ending of this season. Honestly, I can't pick a favorite opening this anime season. There's too many shows with amazing ones, but Demon Slayer is definitely one of my personal favorites for sure. The ending song, it was more or less a clip show, but Demon Slayer has such great art, it's okay having a clip show for an ending more or less, because it's fun to look at, it's beautiful to look at, and the ending song was great as well. It just feels like Demon Slayer doesn't miss. It can be goofy. Tanjiro can be so pissed off because Tanjiro being the most personality-filled character ever and someone who just doesn't care about hurting your feelings and clearly forgets your face as soon as he looks away. That's comedy gold if you ask me, and I think, honestly, if this is going to be a key player in the Swordsmith's Village arc, I mean, I'm down for a character like that. Some people aren't a fan of the characters who seemingly have no personality. I think they work when the cast kind of like balances the lack of personality and how maybe that character rubs others the wrong way. He has the skills to back it up, but man, it's gonna be a ride to see him interact with Tanjiro more and more. But either way, I leave this episode happy. Is it as exciting as the first episode, which was extra long? Of course not. It never would be, just because clearly we're setting the stage and now we're kind of getting into the momentum, getting the story, getting the characters going. And by introducing a character who clearly is going to be a key player in the Swordsmith Village arc, introducing an ally that is going to run our boy dead to the ground if he doesn't land hits and get starved to death. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a week or so. I think this was a very fun episode. It gets your mind racing about the 300-year past and everything that it means. Why is this technology hard to replicate in current times? And ultimately, what will that sword represent past maybe just Tanjiro's new weapon? A lot of interesting questions in my opinion. A fun training episode that's different than anything we've experienced, and honestly, as much as I didn't want to see that machine break, honestly, once it did, the fact that the sword was sticking there, I mean, that seems pretty cool if you ask me. Thoughts and feelings yourself though, down below. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Also be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have that full live reaction available on my Patreon if you're interested. And while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout. So today, we have Tychos, Edis, and Colin. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.